Hey, how's it going everyone? This is Brandon Bias from CheckIt.com and welcome to another Walkthrough Wednesday. For those of you that didn't really notice, although I have no idea how you couldn't notice, I officially have a new intro and wallpaper for my Photoshop tutorials. So, I don't know about you guys, but I really love it. I love how it turned out. I love the glass look. I didn't really enjoy the render time. It took forever, but either way, I'm really content with how it turned out, and I hope you guys, feel the same about it. So, if you guys want to give me some feedback on the new intro, maybe some ideas for a future one, I don't know, just leave a comment in the comment section below. I'll be sure to reply to you, give you my feedback on your feedback, or something like that. Either way, let me know what you think, and I will love you forever. Alright, so in this week's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you guys how to achieve some 3D animation with Photoshop. And normally this is something that you would only want to do in Cinema 4D, 3ds Max, Maya, just something that's actually meant to be a 3D render engine and not Photoshop. But I realize that some people out there only have Photoshop to work with, so I'm just going to show you guys how to do some animation in Photoshop's 3D space. So let me show you guys a quick example of what it is we are going to be creating here. And as you can see, it's very simple and straightforward just to get us the general idea of how to do some animation in Photoshop here. And by the way, for those of you that are wondering, the letters A and I are short for animation. I didn't feel like having a whole crap ton of letters to animate, so I just did 3 A and I. Anyway, so all I'm going to be focusing on in this tutorial is the animation itself. I'm not going to show you how to do the cool little the lens wipe or whatever the heck you call that. That's just something I threw in using Magic Bullet Photo Looks in Sony Vegas. So yeah, all we're going to be focusing on is the animation bit. So what do you say we open up Photoshop and get working here? So let's go to File, New. And just for the sake of keeping things simple in terms of render time, I'm actually going to keep this at 1280 by 720 with a white background and hit OK. Okay, so I'm just going to set up the field nice and simple. Let's double click the background layer, rename that BG, hit OK. And let's hit Shift Backspace or Shift Delete to open up the fill dialog and just use 50% gray and hit OK. And then let's go over, grab our text tool, or you can hit the letter T, and let's just click somewhere in the middle, and let's type out the letter A, and let's also scale that up as needed. For those of you that don't know how to scale it up like that while you're still typing out the text, all you have to do is hold down the Control key or the Command key, and it'll give you this little bounding box so you can click and drag on the corners, and I would hold Alt and Shift to scale it up from the center. And let's just do something around right there for the size and hit the check mark to commit that. And I want to put this one letter in the middle of the document, so let's select the canvas by hitting Control or Command A on the keyboard. Let's swap to our Move tool by hitting the letter V. And then if we select the second and fifth icons on this little bar right here, that should center it horizontally and vertically. And now we can deselect by hitting Control or Command D. So once again, guys, just remember as we're going through this, all we're really worrying about is the animation and maybe a little bit of the look of the letter A. So I'm not going to make this look overly fancy, all right? So moving on, let's make sure we have the letter A selected and go to 3D. And let's do a new 3D extrusion from the selected layer. And if you guys so choose, you can switch to the 3D workspace, but I don't really need to, so I'm going to click No, because I already have things set up over here how I like it. And the first thing I'm going to do is select the letter A, and let's go to the Extrusion Depth and change that to about, let's do like 50 right there. And then let's also go to the cap and change the width of that. So let's just put that up and see what looks good. Let's just keep it somewhere around there, so that's at 22% for me. And let's go to the front inflation material. And let's go to the diffuse and click the little box next to the diffuse there and click New Texture and should hit OK. And then that should make a new texture for us, and now we can click that box again and click Edit Texture. And just to get that that blood splatter feeling, we're going to open up a burn mark from Action Movie Essentials 2. You can probably find a similar texture like this on Google. Maybe I can find something for you guys to use yourselves. And all we're going to do is just click and drag. Let's do the second one here into the letter A, and we'll hit the little check mark. And just so we can get that cool, that blood splatter feeling to it, let's go back to our layers panel over here. And then with this layer selected, let's go to Effects, and let's go to Color Overlay. And by default, it should be set to this red color here. We can just change the blend mode color, or blend mode to color. And that should be pretty cool. And we can hit OK. And then make sure you go to File and save this front inflation material. And then if you close this out, you should see that material show up right here on our letter A. However, let's go back to the specular and choose that and put that down to a black color. And if you want to, you can actually go up just a little bit and give it like a red value of 0.05. And that should make these dark areas just a slight red color. And we'll hit OK. So from here on out, you can do whatever you want in terms of editing the texture, but I think I'm just going to keep it as is and move on to making sure everything is ready and set to go for the animation. So how about we go to our current view, and let's change the current view from default camera to top, and that should move the camera up top for us. And let's also make sure that that we're set to perspective instead of orthographic. And let's also grab our little dolly up here, and let's move our camera back so that way we have a little bit more room. So let's move it right about there. Should be nice and good. And let's go back to the A object here, and let's go into the last little thing here, which is called coordinates in our properties section. And let's change the X rotation to 90 degrees. And so that should put it right here for us. And let's click off of that. Come on, commit that little thing there. Thank you. So anyway, let's go ahead and just move this up a little bit, make it somewhere a little more appropriate. Somewhere around there should be nice and dandy for us. And I'm going to go ahead and edit this infinite light that we have here. So I'll select that. And let's change the type from infinite to, let's do a spotlight. And let's just use our tools over here to rotate the light. And you can see where the light is judging from, how it hits the letter. So I'm going to aim this sucker down. And since I know this is not in the right spot, let's switch to the slide tool and just kind of slide this sucker back. And maybe we'll actually move it like up and to the side. I'm trying to make this a little bit more interesting than the last animation. So maybe we can scale this up a little bit. Anyway, just kind of play with that light as you see fit. Just see what is fun and amusing. All right. So now, in order to create the other letters, what we're going to do is select the A object here. We'll right-click it and choose Duplicate Objects. Or objects, whatever. And let's rename this to N. And with the N object selected, you can go into the properties and edit the source. And from here, you can just type in a capital N, hit the check mark, save it by hitting Control or Command S, close that out, and that should be updated right here in 3D space. So let's go back to the letter A and make sure you have your move tool selected, and let's just kind of move this sucker off to the side, right around here. And then let's go back to the letter N and right click, and we will duplicate that object as well. And let's name this I, and once again we'll edit the source and change that to a capital I, save and close. And so now we should be able to move this sucker over as well. Now, something to keep in mind is that since the letter I is so small, the center point of the word itself is now a little bit off. So how about we select all these letters, and we'll just kind of move these over until they look more centered to us. So right around there looks like a good spot to me. Again, you can just mess with that as you like. And I'm going to move around this light a little bit more. and just see what we can get. That looks pretty interesting, but I might slide it back just a little bit more. Alright, so we're looking good. Now the only issue now is that the letters themselves have the same texture. So let's go back to the front inflation material of the letter N, and let's just go in and edit that texture real quick, and we'll go back to our layers, and let's right click the effects icon for the this little splatter image, and we'll choose copy layer style, so that way we don't have to reapply the same layer style later. And let's just delete this layer, and let's open up our burn marks, and let's throw in the first one, and let's right click, and let's see, paste layer style, should be the exact same thing. Control S to save, close her up. Now we have a different texture. So let's go back into our 3D panel, and let's choose the front inflation material for the letter I, and we'll just do the same thing. Let's edit the texture for it, go back to our layers, and we'll delete the texture. And let's just throw in, let's try this last one up here, and commit that, right click, paste the layer style, and voila, we have a cool little texture, and we'll close that up after saving. Holy crap, I'm going fast, but what the heck, it should be pretty straightforward by now. Alright, so we officially have our basis done. Whoops, turn that off. We have our basis down for the letters, and they look pretty freaking sweet if I do say so myself. Now we have to set up a timeline so that way we can start animating some things. So if you don't have the timeline at the bottom, just go to Window, and there should be a timeline right here. Just give that sucker a click. And then once you have that open, just click Create Video Timeline. And if it doesn't show that, there should be a little drop down for between frame animation and a video timeline. Just choose the video timeline, click that, and we should have ourselves a beautiful little timeline here. Okay, so what you should see here are two of our layers in the document. So we have the A layer, which I wonder if we can rename that. Nope, apparently not. So we have the A layer. Actually, if we go into our layers, we can actually probably rename this as A and I, and that should show up. There we go. Now that's reflected there. So in our timeline, we have the A and I 3D object and our background layer. So we don't really need to worry about the background layer. So let's just select the A and I, and let's open that up, and let's actually give you guys a little bit more room to see what we have going on here, and we'll just kind of move this up over here. And what you should see is a bunch of options for the entire group itself. But then since this is a 3D object, it has the 3D lights, materials, and the meshes inside of it. So if we were wanting to animate the individual letters themselves, we have to open up the 3D meshes, because that's where the A, N, and I are. So what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of scrub forward until about somewhere in the 3-second area, and we're going to create a keyframe for the A, the N, and the I. And we're going to do that by clicking the little stopwatch icon that's next to each letter there. And so then what we'll do is we'll go back to the original part of the timeline at 0 seconds, and let's go into the 3D, and let's also put this down for the time being, and there we go, we have a better look. And what we want to do is, first of all, let's select the A, the N, and the I. Oh, for some reason the I just got messed up. Let's unstopwatch that, let's move it over. So somewhere right there, and then let's go back. Okay, so apparently it doesn't like that. Okay, so apparently the keyframing in Photoshop is a little bit glitchy. So I guess all I had to do was go to that point where the keyframe was, I selected the keyframe, I moved over the letter I, and then I went back to the beginning of the timeline and reapplied another keyframe there by clicking this little diamond that is next to the stopwatch. So if you have the same problem as I did, try that to fix the problem. So anyway, what I was trying to say, so now just to be safe, let's select all of these keyframes here, so that way we're for sure editing them, because apparently Photoshop is nice and picky. So with all those keyframes selected, let's go into the 3D panel and select all three of these all three of these objects here, and let's move these forward on the Y-axis. So I'm going to select this little green arrow and click and drag towards the camera. I wonder how far forward I want to bring this. Let's do it. Let's actually make it really close just for the fun of it. And also at the same time, let's select the letter A and let's move that over yonder. And let's select the letter I and we'll move that over here. And then let's go back to the letter A, and if we put our mouse between this little block and the arrow, we should be able to rotate this around the Y-axis. And we'll just click and drag that to the left. I wish I could do that more. Let's undo that real quick. And let's select the letter A. Let's go into the coordinates and let's see if we can do the minus 60 degrees. Nope. We apparently need to do this around the Z axis. Nope. So let's just do, how much can we do this? There we go. So if we just change the Z coordinate to something like, let's do plus 75 degrees. And let's do that for the let's do that for the N and I as well. So let's just change that to, whoops. Let's do these individually apparently. So select that, change it to 70, and go to the letter I, change that to 70 as well, so that should be nice and rotated for us. And if we were to scrub through the rest of our video, you should see that animation take place. And boom, there it goes, hits the back right there. So let's go ahead and if you see the this little part of the timeline here, you should see a little scrub. It's this little kind of grayish icon on the left-hand side and the right-hand side of our timeline. And if you click and drag this sucker in, that basically trims the composition to just the area that you want to render and play. So let's go back to the beginning, push play, let it go through and see what it looks like. And just give it a moment to finish up there. And then let's hit Control H to hide all that stuff up. Click play again, see what it looks like in real time. Not bad. And Shazam. Now, the only downside to animating, in Photoshop versus like, another program is, for one thing, the animations are very choppy, very, I guess that's really most of it. The animations are choppy, the 3D itself doesn't really look that great, and sometimes you have like weird artifacts and stuff. So it works, but it's a little bit weird. Because one thing that I did notice, for example, when the light was too close, we got this weird, like, I don't know, we have some weird stuff going on here. So what I'm thinking of doing is just going to the spotlight. Whoa, what happened to the letter I? Undo that. Hello? What is going on? See, this is why I don't think it is a great idea to do this stuff in Photoshop. It's just so glitchy. I don't get it. So let's try this again. See, now it's just being a pain in my butt. Come on. I just had it. It was just working a little bit ago. Can I undo this? Can I step back? Step backwards? Alright. So, wow. This is sad. I'm really sad right now. Okay, guys, I've gone back and I have tried to figure out what happened. I don't know. My only explanation is that Photoshop sucks for animating stuff in 3D space, and I'm done trying to work with it. So I'm gonna call this good right here for the animation, and I'm just gonna really quickly show you guys how to actually export this as a video or as a frame animation. So here's what we're going to do. Let's turn off the letter A and turn off whatever it is, because apparently somehow all of these freaking objects got super messed up, and the only one that actually works is the letter N, and even that is effed up. But either way, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the top right corner of the timeline window, so right here, if you can't see my mouse, and we'll give that sucker a click, and we're going to choose Render Video. And assuming that you trimmed the composition down here like I showed you, it should automatically set this to work area, judging on what you have that set to. And as far as rendering out the video goes, you have a couple options. You can either render it straight up as a video using Adobe Media Encoder, in which case I would recommend using H.264. You can use QuickTime, and I have no idea what DPX is. I wouldn't use it. And then just choose a quality there. But the thing that I recommend doing, assuming that you have either After Effects or something like Sony Vegas to put it together, is to use a Photoshop image sequence. So we'll click that, and you can either use, you have a lot of options here, but I'm going to choose PNG, and you can mess with the settings for that. Just make sure that's, you know, if you don't want any compression, so that way the render is nice and fast, that you have enough, you know, size and space on your hard drive. And then, of course, the interlace method is set to none, and we'll hit OK. And so, let's see, so the document size is 1280 by 720, it's at 30 frames per second, and for the alpha channel, we don't want one, so we'll just kind of keep that at none. And then the 3D quality, since I don't really want this to take a whole lot of time rendering, I'll just set that to Ray Trace Draft. And let's see, also let's select a folder, so I'll put this on my desktop, have it create a new subfolder called ANI tutorial, and we're gonna call this tuts ANI whatever, and we'll render that out. And then you should get this little exporting image sequence dialog, and once that is done, I will be right back. Alright, so I'm back, guys. So turns out that well, how do I put this simply? Photoshop crashed. It really did not want to cooperate for this tutorial. So I'm just going to show you guys how to put together an image sequence using one of the previous examples that I used. Let me make sure that I still have it over here. And yep, looking nice and good. So how about we go ahead and open up Sony Vegas, or you can use After Effects. The entire process is exactly the same between Vegas and After Effects. And I guess real quick, I can just show you how both of them look like. So I'll start opening that up as well. So let's, hey, I didn't mean to open up another Vegas. I was meant to open up the previous one. Gosh dang it. Anyway, so once you have Sony Vegas open, let's go ahead and go to File and choose Open. And all you're going to do is select the first frame of the animation that you want to open as an image sequence. And all you need to do is go to the bottom and select Open Still Image Sequence. And that will automatically select the range depending on the number of the file for you. And for some reason, mine was named in like 20,000, 20,001. Don't know really why, but what the heck. So it automatically selected from the first one all the way down to the last one, which is 149, and all we have to do is select Open. And from here on, it's actually pretty simple. We want to use the timecode in the file. We don't need to select a name for it, and we're going to select what stream we want to put it in, and since I don't have any, we're just going to select video 1. Once again, the frame rate is 29.97, and then everything from there should just be nice and straightforward, and click OK. And there you go, guys. It should have that animation in there for you. It might look a little choppy depending on, you know, the frame rate and all that. Just if you were to render this out, you know, go to the render and render this out as an actual video, you should notice that it's still, you know, smooth enough. All right. All right. So the same thing in After Effects. So double click in the canvas area over there to open up and import dialog box, and just select the first frame, and for the sequence options, just choose PNG sequence and import as footage. And if you really need to, you can force the alphabetical order, but I already know we're okay. Now we can just click import, then we can click and drag this into After Effects here and preview that using 0 on our keyboard, and voila, you have your animation. So that's all you guys have for creating, you know, animations in Photoshop. It's relatively straightforward to do. However, Photoshop apparently is super glitchy with it, so if you have the option, please use something else. It's just so much better if you use Cinema 4D. I think I'm gonna go lay on my bed and cry myself to sleep that this went so bad. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.